Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bombastic Podcast, Episode 2, the sequel. Funny thing about the Bombastic Podcast is I didn't like the name. I wanted it to be called Daniel and the Diabetics, but Lindsay and Brent both thought that would be better as a boy band name. Before we get into it, I just wanted to let everyone know we are now on YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor, and we are working on distributing into Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, and a score of others. If there's any specific platform you want us to distribute to, you can let us know. Lindsay, you want to tell them about how to contact us?
A good way to contact us is social media. We right now are on Instagram mainly. You can also shoot out comments or likes or anything on our YouTube page. But ideally, we would like to structuralize a Facebook, a Twitter, and any other kind of popular social media going around. And that would be under the name of the _bombastic _podcast or just the Bombastic Podcast. And with those, obviously, share us some ideas, some suggestions, your favorite segment, or even maybe your favorite food, whatever it is. And maybe if you have the best idea, maybe your fan art or your idea will be featured on the show.
All right, I think that's the longest I've ever been silent. All right, so quick recap. So let you know, we have been receiving your feedback. We fine-tuned this episode a little bit towards it. And then we want to give a quick shout out to Taylor, who sent us our first piece of fan art.
Thank you, Taylor.
Based on episode 1, I said that I was able to imagine a bear wearing a purple wig. I clearly was not, because this picture truly put it in my mind. If you're watching the YouTube video, it's up there now, and we will try and post it to social media. So shout out to Taylor. But with this podcast, we're going to do 3 more sections today. We're going to do another hypothetical. We're going to do a dream journal section. And then we're also going to do a new one called The Next Big Thing. Lindsay, you've got our first hypothetical for us?
Yep, sure do, Brent. Our hypothetical is there would be a 300% increase to all of your human abilities, strength, agility, speed, and that is due to an endoskeleton. But nothing else has changed, aside from the fact that you have to charge this endoskeleton every day. And if you don't charge it, you will be unable to move, and you will need to be able to have someone come recharge you, more or less.
So, basically, I came up with this a while ago, and I fine-tuned it a little bit. So, basically, I'm a surgeon. I've come up to you and said, listen, bro, I've got this company. It's called Endoskeleton. What we're going to do is we're going to surgically implant this endoskeleton into you, like, to every bone. And so, the benefits are you're going to get the 300% increase, like you said. So, run, jump, but, like, you can't see farther because your skeleton, believe it or not, does not affect that. I told you we were a science podcast. And but the drawback, like you said, is that you need to be charged every single night. And it's like, you don't need a crazy charger, like literally just your basic 120 volt plug. You plug your iPhone charger in, and then under it you plug yourself in. Like, no big deal. But the one also stipulation is you can't carry a generator with you, because that would like eliminate the the entire point of it. But so basically, and
that would use up the 300% increase to things by carrying around a generator.
Well, no, not necessarily. They were pretty small generators. But and then, like you said, completely immobile. So it's like you're aware and you can like wake up and stuff, but you can't move any like bone or muscle pretty much in your body that requires a skeleton. And so, like, you're not just dead in the water. Someone could be a nice guy and it's like, hey, I'll plug you in for you. But, that's pretty much it. Daniel, thoughts?
Well, first of all, thank you, electrical engineer, for knowing the standard voltage of a wall outlet.
That's RMS value, of course. I'm terribly terrified that I got that wrong now, because it's also can be 240, but that's because electrical house is wired in 3-phase, and so I didn't pay enough attention in Circus 1, but I'm 90% sure it's 120 volt AC.
Okay, well, 3-phase power doesn't exist because I don't want it to. So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Scientists injected this endoskeleton into me.
No,
Three-
you are
Wolves
not
applied.
the Wolverine. It was surgically implanted.
The endoskeleton has been implanted.
Yeah.
Correct.
And 300% boost, but I gotta plug myself in.
Yep.
Now, where is this cord?
It's directly in your belly button. It's your new umbilical cord. Unfortunately, it only has a 3-foot range. So.
Do I have
You can't use an
mechanical
extension
control
cord, though.
over this cord?
What do you mean by that? Like,
Can I control it like a tail?
we're gonna go with no, but you can like retract it within yourself.
And then there's just 2 prongs hanging out of my belly button.
Well, do you think you could charge yourself without a grounding prong? Are you kidding me? No, you have 3 prongs.
Oh, you're right. Well, I don't know.
So
what's the situation? Like, what am I gonna do?
Well, so it's just, where are you going to spring for it? So I'll start off because, like, I've thought about this a decent amount of times, told a couple people about it. 100% sign me up, slice me open, insert a mechanical endoskeleton into me right now. Because 300% ability, number one, I'm on the face of every Wheaties box in America. Like, that alone, I'm happy with that. I might not be allowed to compete in professional sports, but, like, just think about the children I could make happy by going into Six Flags with one of those like hammer things. Is like I literally like comic book, shoot the bell off into space. It's great. And so like the downside is I need to stay within like civilization. Can't really go like camping as much anymore. But I mean, that's okay. And then also living alone would be a problem. But it's like I can limit myself to civilization for the rest of my life for like such great abilities. And it's like I can run like 60 miles per hour or something. It's great.
So the biggest fault I'm seeing, or the worst case scenario I'm seeing, is just like the worst night is you forget to plug in your phone. You forget to plug in your cell phone, right?
Yep.
And worst case scenario is you can't move. But I mean, most people today have like Alexa or Google set up somewhere in their
your jaw
somewhere
is
in their
a
house.
muscle. There's no way. I have one in my room, so I can't say that word. But she who shall not be named. If you, I'd imagine it'd be. In fact, I'm gonna try right now. Alexa. Nope. Didn't activate. Can't say it without moving.
So.
The jaw.
Huh.
So, for me, this is gonna be very important to my answer. Does my pancreas increase in power by 400%, or does my diabetes?
Well,
Neither
my
are
first question is your
direct.
pancreas attached to your skeleton?
Directly.
Okay. No. This doesn't increase the power of everything in my body.
Well, no, it's only things that your skeleton like has to do with.
I would say no, it does not
So
affect
it makes
either.
my bones stronger.
More or less, which brings me to a thought, actually.
So I can't break any more bones, but I gotta plug myself in.
I mean,
Yeah.
theoretically, if you with like enough pressure, like let's just say it's made of titanium,
Well,
like you could still break it. It's just
Yeah,
it's gonna be
but-
infinitely harder.
Yeah, it's a lot less realistic.
So my thought is,
you know what I'm saying. Go ahead.
What-
Go ahead.
what happens to your muscles then? Because do your muscles become like unnecessary, and that they just start withering away since the endoskeleton's doing all the work for them?
Well, I don't know, because it's like just going with the hypothetical, like straight up, the skeleton like has to have joints between like your 2 bones. So let's just take your knee for example, and so it's like the exoskeleton like metal rods are connected with a joint at your knee, and so like that joint now has the power of like the exoskeleton. So like theoretically, depending on how the surgery went, your knee muscles are still there, and so they're still like technically being used. But I guess that might like put them in danger of being ripped if
Well,
you
yes,
did
that's what I'm
that.
saying. The muscles, if I recall right, continue staying healthy by being used. And since they're not going to be being
Well, they'd still
like
be moved. It's just the problem could be that they could be
Yeah,
ripped at that point.
yeah. I'm. You said it would increase my ability to do things by 300%, right?
It's physical abilities limited to like your with skeleton restrictions. Yeah.
So that implies muscle increase of 300%.
Basically, yeah. So like maybe
Okay.
endoskeleton isn't the perfect, or maybe endoskeleton implies some form of robotic muscles, but basically the point is physical attributes in terms of like strength that your muscles control with your skeleton.
okay.
Okay, gotcha. I don't think I would.
All right. So final thoughts. Daniel's not going to do it. I'm doing it. Lindsay, you on board?
I don't think I will. That's just another thing that ties me up. I don't think I would want another thing to keep me held down, or
My goodness.
it's just another thing I got to worry about every day.
Like
Yeah.
I like to go out and do athletic things and outdoorsy things, and like it's a pretty satisfying and a good sense of accomplishment when I hit milestones or new goals in that, and that would kind of take away from that because I've given myself a boost, you know.
I don't think you understood the term Wheaties box face on it. Like every child's dream is to be on a cereal box. You have your ticket. Or at minimum like Science O's, you're on that one. Maybe not. Maybe Wheaties has in their like sub bylines that you can't be a augmented individual. I don't actually know. All right, and then Daniel, I think you have a word from our sponsor.
Oh, that's right. This next segment is sponsored by Lollipop Flavored Suckers for when you want a lollipop but just don't have the time. Now, this next segment is going to be the Dream Journal. Brent had a really interesting dream last night. He wrote it down this morning, and we're going to talk about it. So, Brent, what do you got?
If you can hear right here, here's my notebook. It's ready. So really quick background. I did my 10-second internet search, and on the article 5 reasons why you should keep a dream journal by Kenzie Fitzpatrick. So the reasons they put is process your emotions, fuel your creativity, learn to overcome anxiety, more opportunities to lucid dream, and then interpreting your dreams is fun. Now, originally, I kept the dream journal because I wanted to increase my ability to lucid dream. But eventually, after keeping it, I was like, you know what? Lucid dreams are pretty boring. Like, I can do whatever I want. Like, what's the point? Like, I'd rather have the limitations of a normal dream. And so, like, I just started keeping it because, like, they were interesting. And so, the way this format is going to work for now, at least, I'm just going to read directly what I have in the journal, and then you guys can cut in at any point if you have questions or clarifying questions. And so I'll get through the entire thing, and then we will discuss the like maybe interpret it, or maybe just go off the like what it implies. We'll play around with it. Now, when I read this, I haven't entirely prepared it, and you have to keep in mind when I write these things, it's literally at 4 a.m. I woke up, I had a dream, and I'm like, all right, dream journal. Reach over my bed, grab the dream journal, and then in pitch black darkness, I get the pen out and just write based on where I know my hand will be and how big my words are, and just write on that. And so it's like sometimes it's hard for me to read. Yeah, doctor's note does it no justice. But so and then also I'm not fully lucid at that or fully aware at that point. But yeah, so also these I was this morning I woke up and I was like, man, that was a pretty weird dream. I could put it in a journal, but I was like, I'm really tired. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm recording a podcast later and there's a dream journal segment. I need to write this. So I hope you guys realize that I sacrificed my ability to go instantly back to sleep for this. Anyway, we're going to start out with here. So starts out, I'm driving by and I see an area where police cars are kept, and it's like a gated area with just a bunch of police cars in the like parking lot, and it's got a fence around it. And I'm driving by, and I noticed that one of the lights go off, like on it, the like alarms or sirens. And so I'm like, that's weird. Continue driving in my dream. Something happens. I don't remember that. Point is, I end up driving back. And so when I'm driving back, I notice that there's a police officer there, and he's checking it out. And like at the second he enters, all the lights go on for the like and sirens for every single car. And so I'm like, that's pretty weird. I was like, you know what? In my dream, I'm pretty adventurous. So I'm like, let's check it out. And so I go in, and I check it out. And so like there's the officer there, and there's two other guys. And those two guys were like trying to steal stuff. By the way, if you didn't know, bank vaults are kept within the police car like parking lot headquarters, because in the middle there was a bank vault. And so they had gotten it open, but they're just chilling there, and the police officer's there like about to arrest them. And then he sees me, and he thinks I'm with them. And so I'm like, wait a second, I'm not with them. And he's like, prove it. And I was like, I saw you entering the building. And I gave a recount of like what I saw up until that point. I was like, all right, you're cool, but come here, there's a problem. And I was like, what? Okay, problem. And I go over to him, and he's like, basically, I don't remember the exact situation, but there was, what I put was, we know that they need to get a certain chemical formula correct in order to save the day. And so in my dream, like I already can't do chemical equations anymore from chemistry 1. And in my dream, I especially can't do chemical equations. And so there was, I can't remember the first chemical, but it was something fluoride. And then there was another chemical, and they don't know how to combine them, which like for chemical formulas, if you don't know, that you have like 2 inputs and then an output. And for the reaction to take place, you need to have equal amounts of input and output. And so I was like, I need to balance these chemical formulas. But the problem was they only had laundry detergent. And so I'm like, what the heck? And so I've got 2 bottles of laundry detergent. And I was like, I was telling the police officer all of this. I was like, little known fact, they actually list every chemical within laundry detergent on the back. I don't actually know if that's true. And so I'm looking at these bottles of laundry detergent, and I'm like, I need to know how to combine these. And one laundry detergent bottle didn't have the right chemical I needed in like the correct amount. And so I was like, I don't know how to do this. And so I decide to like just combine the 2, and it ends up not working, and the dream ends because I would have died. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thoughts, comments, concerns?
First thought that came into my head is you're trying to get into a building that's gated,
Yep.
and there's legal officials of some sort around it. Almost makes me think that you were going to bed thinking about the raiding of Area 51 that's going on.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Maybe.
How right you are.
I actually wasn't,
then
but okay. Someone did have an Area 51 shirt, though, that I saw the other day. So maybe it was subconsciously.
And my next thought that came, the second and last one that I had was, knowing you very well, you take pride in like knowing information and like the usefulness it could amount to. You maybe subconsciously you are thinking about like information that you aren't very like familiar with, like balancing chemical equations and combining chemicals. Like maybe subconsciously you feel like you might need to know that.
Is my subconscious specifically worried about laundry detergent chemical equations?
I have no idea what laundry detergent could mean.
Fair enough.
What do you think, Brent? What do you think about your dream? You've had a lot of time to think about it, so.
I have. Well, so first off, I just think like the following a police officer into the bank vault within the parking lot of the local police station's vehicle lot. That part I just chalk up to normal things. Laundry detergent though, Well, I okay, I don't know. I did laundry on Saturday, but I had plenty of laundry detergent, and I didn't need to know the chemical formula of it.
Do you need to do laundry soon? How often do you do laundry?
About once a week.
Were you thinking about the time I visited your dorm and had to go into a lake to recover a frisbee?
Yes.
So I had to do laundry.
Maybe. Maybe.
And then I just took detergent from the people who left it in the laundry room.
Yeah, that event that happened like almost 5 months ago now.
Yeah, something like that.
That was probably on the forefront of my mind, most likely. And then the second one I had, I'll give a very brief rundown of it. Basically, I work at a department store. I go out and there's a Dutch police officer. And I know this, of course, because every Dutch police officer has a beret and a revolver pistol, which in my dream is just assumed to be known. And so I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? Like, what's going on? And he's like, listen, your parking lot could be much more efficient if your cars didn't park like in linear lines, is what he told me. And I was like, well, of course we could do that, but we'd need robots for that. And he was like, you have robots. And of course, right then I remembered that, of course, we have an entire parking lot full of robots. And I don't remember exactly, or I don't know what they did, but I just knew in my dream, of course, that we had a parking lot full of robots. But I was like, yeah, but their programming isn't for that. And he was like, oh, you'll regret it, that. And I was like, what? And so he somehow turned all the robots against me. And I was like, what the heck? That's stupid. And so I run inside, but one gets in. And so I lock the door, and then like I'm wrestling this robot. And little known fact, all robots have an off switch at the back of their neck. So I'm able to turn it off, and it's chill. My manager, who is Tyler Hoechlin, by the way, he's in Teen Wolf. He's like the main like werewolf dude. He comes up to me and he's like, what's going on, Brent? I was like, Tyler Hoechlin, my manager, listen, the robots have gone rogue. And he's like, we need to block off all the exits. And so we ran to the roof for the first exit, and they had already punched through the ventilation shaft. And I was like, all right, we just got to turn them off. But their off switches had been ripped off. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do. And like, from there, my dream became like a movie sequence where it's like all the robots climbing up the walls. And I'm just observing like them coming at every door. And then there was this one robot with like a human face, but like he couldn't really walk. And so he fell down. But then the Dutch police officer went up to him. And it was like, listen, Landspeed. I think that was the robot's name, Landspeed. He was like, I've got a special task for you. And then the dream ended.
Okay, so you seem to be pretty good at making enemies of the police.
Yeah, maybe that's my primary subconscious fear.
Now this robot with the human face.
Yep.
I'm picturing I want to say it's from Spy Kids when that robot comes up and there's a screen. It's just his face on the screen where the robot's head would be. Is that Spy Kids?
He almost looked like Bruce Willis.
He okay. So describe these. Were they like
they were exactly like the robots from iRobot, the Will Smith movie.
Okay, I gotcha. I was picturing like the really blocky thing, like a stereotypical like how I would draw a robot because I can't draw iRobot.
I can definitely tell why Tyler Hoechlin was in my dream. It's because I had just seen him in a trailer for a romantic comedy before going to bed. So that's probably why he was my manager.
Yeah. Also, when we were gearing up to record episode 1, you started talking about Teen Wolf. You talk about Teen Wolf a lot, Brent.
I mean, it's a great TV show. Who doesn't like teenagers?
Are you obsessed with Teen Wolf? Unhealthily?
And the police?
Well, like, I don't know. I really like werewolves and vampires. This isn't about me. This is about a different aspect of me.
Have you been listening to NWA?
Well, I think the moral of the story is the next time I see a Dutch police officer, I should not let him give me advice on how to park the cars in my convenience store.
Lindsay, you want to take it from here? Next segment?
Next segment, we have our first of them all. It is a bombastic quote.
Wow.
This bombastic quote is brought to you by yours truly, Daniel, the diabetic. And it states, "The present is just the future's past."
Wow.
Following that, Daniel, next big thing.
Man, sounds deep, but it's really, really not. Obviously, fads are coming in and out of pop culture all the time. You know, last year, Fortnite blew up like crazy, or it might have been 2 years ago now. And then Apex and Pokemon Go blew up at one point. You know, there's just all these different big things coming around. And what we do in this segment is we're going to surmise what we think the next big thing is. Lindsay, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. Legitimately, I would have to guess watches. I think watches are making a huge comeback. I've seen an increase people at work wanting to wear them frequently, but more of a random guess, I would probably have to say laceless shoes. I just feel like it's going to be freeing for people. People are going to be excited about it. The ability to slip on full shoes with ease.
So
Yeah,
everyone's
but
going to
you
be wearing
lose
slippers.
aglets.
Aglets are no longer necessary.
Now,
I completely disagree.
A laceless future is a future I can get behind. I can just slip my shoes on in the morning and go. That's incredible.
Exactly.
I mean, you can do that with laces. You just you have them pre-tied, and then you wear down the shoe enough that you can just slip your foot in.
Yeah, but then you still gotta like put your finger on the back and like pull it up from the bottom of your foot.
It's
If
more
you're
breathable
casual.
if you're not having it tight, though.
Nah.
Now,
Don't.
some of the laceless
I can't
shoes-
explain this. It's just what the kids are doing now.
Okay.
All right.
What do you got,
Daniel, do you have your? All right. Well, Lindsay partly stole my thunder. Quick background on my economics. I don't like to brag, but I did get an A in microeconomics. I don't remember the class number. I know how to draw a supply and demand graph. And you know what that graph is telling me right now?
What's it telling you?
What's
Brad?
that?
It's telling me that light up shoes are the next thing. I had this
Light up
before
shoes.
Lindsay. But yeah, light up shoes is going to be great. Because you know what everyone's thinking right now, right? The days are getting shorter. It's becoming December. It happens every year. Crazy. And we need light up shoes. Because how are you going to see like where you are without a
Where you're
light up shoe?
stepping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And frankly, they're cool. Everyone had them when they were a kid. And they were like, you know what? Looking back, that was one of the best pair of shoes I ever had. And so I think light up shoes are coming back in a big way.
Plug the numbers for me and see what laceless light up shoes are looking like in the future.
It's a paradox. They can't
I
both
can't
exist at the
imagine.
same time.
Why is that?
Because everyone knows that a good pair of light up shoes puts the light on the aglet. Enough said.
All right.
That's fair.
Yeah, I have one, and I think you guys had some good submissions. I think you might legitimately be right, but I think what we failed to consider here is that all these fads, Pokemon Go, whatever video game, whatever trend, you know, everyone's looking to satisfy like this deep emptiness within them with something, and that's why I think the next big thing is going to be Jujubee's the candy. Now, I used to love these things when I was in 7th grade, and like I would just get these boxes, and they only sold them at the Walgreens in my area, and I would just eat these things, and they were so good. They were even better when you like had a whole mouthful and all the flavors mixed together. And I was picking up a prescription from a Walgreens in my college town, and I look in the candy section, and there are Jujubees, 4 for $4. And I'm like, oh man, I haven't had these in forever. So I buy 4, and I get back to my apartment, and I start eating them. I'm like, wow, these are terrible.
No.
But I kept eating them,
Okay.
and I kept eating them, and now I can't stop. It doesn't matter how I feel about them. I can't stop. That's why I think they're going to be the next big thing.
So tell me,
Coming
what
out with
does
his
the
crippling addiction on the podcast.
what does this fad of Jujubees look like? Does it look like every store sells them? Does it look like everyone has a box or bag of them in their hand? Like, what does that look like?
I mean, every store sells them. I mean, you'll be able to buy them at the counter when you're at restaurants. Desserts from everywhere are just going to start incorporating jujubes into
What about
them.
food trucks? Because everyone knows food trucks are still big. If I go to my neighborhood food truck, are they gonna have jujubes?
Maybe a Juju beetle.
Like,
Yeah,
they
see, and that's the
sell
big thing,
jujubes
because-
out of a Volkswagen Beetle.
Correct.
Now it's spelled like jujubes, Jujubes, but it's called jujubes because they have a picture of a bee on the front. So that's kind of like their mascot, and so you're like, oh, jujubes, not jujubes. So Juju beetles, oh man, I can't even imagine. Like, are these different flavors? Are they just different shapes? Like, what do you think about Juju beetles? Tell me what that is in your mind.
My mind went to selling them like a food truck through a Volkswagen Beetle. Just went from bee, finished it off with beetle. But Juju beetles, I imagine flying candy
Wow.
Flying
that you have to
candy.
jump around and catch with your mouth.
Now, do you think there will be a whole line of Juju insect candies? Will they become collectibles and tradables? Will there be a Jujubees trading card game? Will it become that big?
I guess we'll just have to see.
Well, I already have the trading card game.
Think so.
Oh, Brent was cool before it became a fad. apparently.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I'm gonna hop
Brent,
off the second it becomes popular.
You are a
And talk about it.
trailblazer, Brent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, with that, I believe that wraps up episode 2. Again, we want to thank everyone for the views and the subscriptions on YouTube. With that, as well as Spotify and Anchor, we have this posted so those who have listened to it. And again, soon to be on Google and Apple Music. Again, if you have any,
Yep.
along with others, if you have any. Again, with that, if you have any ideas for us, any feedback, let us know in the comments of anything, such as YouTube or an Instagram. You can send a message to us. But for now, this is your Bombastic Podcast. See you next time.